What's up, everybody? Well, on a podcast now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Anthem really fast. Just kind of a news story. What I plan on doing is we now have a deadline. We have when this game is going to be totally unplayable, and that's what I want to talk about in this video really fast. But we have a date for that. I'm going to play the game, and we'll do a whole retrospective on it right before that happens. I was looking for a game in this time period anyway, so it works out. So we found out today Anthem is going to be totally toast. And you could say, well, Alex, if you recall, there is a non-online component of Anthem. There's a single-player campaign. The issue is everything in that game is tied to it being online. So they talk about the servers being shut off on January 12th. That's the last day of playing it. Technically, it might be January 11th because it might get shut off on the 12th. Don't plan on playing it the 12th, I guess is what I'm saying. But in their FAQs, this is where things get really bad. How long will I have to play Anthem? Again, until January 12th. Why can't I play Anthem in offline mode? Anthem was designed to be an online-only title, so once the servers go offline, the game will no longer be playable. That is the freaking nail in the coffin. And, you know, Stop Killing Games just hit a million signatures, I think, last night, which I've talked about on the main channel. So thankful because we need change. We desperately need change. And this game, this announcement, could not have come at a better time with the pirate software and the whole, Stop Killing Games thing, because I think it should hopefully just shut everybody up that is opposed to it, where this is what we're talking about. I'm going to get mad here. This is a game, much like others that we keep talking about, that once it's gone, it's gone. People bought this game. People got microtransactions. You probably shouldn't have, but whatever. People paid money for this game. I think I bought it twice. I got it at launch, and I gave it back. Whatever, GameStop trade-in or whatever. I did not like it. It was not what I thought it was going to be. I think I played the beta for it, too. And then I think I have it. Pretty sure I picked it up physically years and years later just to kind of have as a relic, and that's literally what it's going to be when this happens. But doesn't this prove the point? Doesn't this literally say everything that we're trying to say with the Stop Killing Games? And by the way, not even Stop Killing Games. People have talked about it long before that petition even started. We've been talking about this forever, right? Why are we doing this? Why? This is a game that you can play certain things that are not, like, you don't have to play this with other people. That is not a requirement for parts of the game. And it's like, okay, but the game is designed to be online only. Oh my freaking God. That's the killer right there. And I'm sure that was in a user agreement. And that's what the Stop Killing Games, right? I'm sure we agreed to that at some point in our lives playing that game. That we read, we don't actually read it. We go through the user agreement, and somewhere in there it says that all of this stuff is allowed, and that's it. That they're good, we're not good, right? And that's the despicable stuff that needs to stop. On top of, by the way, just the general feeling of, well, number one, another game that's gone. Number two, I've talked about this before with games like this. I don't think it's as bad as, a Concord or whatever, right? But, games that are so severely, like, massive mistakes and things that we kind of, like, talk about on this internet culture thing, preservation, I think, is important for good and bad games. Like, I've always talked about a Naughty Bear, I think the game is called. Like, that game's horrendous, but that game should always be playable. It should always be around. That's just a old weird example. But my moral standpoint is, like, we need to preserve these things so we can discuss them and go through them, good or bad. You know what I mean? And that's something I've said for a long time. Like, I think I've said that for Suicide Squad. I don't care how bad the game is. And I've said loads of bad things about Suicide Squad. I don't care what I've said. I don't care what anybody has said. I needed that offline mode because a game like that, no game should be taken off. And Suicide Squad was in danger of that, right? Heaven forbid, you pull those servers, and one day that's going to happen. You pull it, that game would just be gone forever. And it's like, okay, well, they add an offline mode, you're safe. And people will say, well, it's such a bad game. Why do you care? Anthem didn't work. It's not a good game. Why do you care? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's me. It does not matter if it's a good or a bad game. It should be around. So that's like the one thing I would say that for any game without Stop Killing Games, without any of that stuff, I would say that. When it comes to this in particular, though, this is a worse example because you have things that don't have to be tied to online that technically are behind the scenes, in the game's code, whatever. It is tied to online. So when you shut everything off, or when you shut the servers off, you're really killing the entire game when you really shouldn't need to do that. I mean, no, not really shouldn't. You absolutely should not need to do that. That's not how it should work, right? And so that's separate problem that probably does go into these other things where, hey, wouldn't it be nice to know when you're getting this game? Wouldn't that be nice to know? Right? I mean, I know it's 6, 7, 8 years late, whatever, 2018, I think it came out. I get it. It's been a long time, and maybe you expect it to eventually go offline, but how many people knew that part? Really? I mean, like, it's in their FAQs, but how many people read their FAQs? And I guess you could say, well, that's a problem with the consumer, not necessarily them, because they are saying it. But when was that put up? We don't know. Nobody's really checked, whatever. But I mean, wouldn't it have been nice to know? And this is what I'm saying. Like, this is why we push for things. This is why I think you go to the extremes. I think you go, okay, we need to put on the box of Anthem. Or when you fire it up, you say, hey, by the way, if we were to ever take this game offline, the entire game goes with it. So just so you're aware of that. You don't have to say anything else. You don't have to do the subscribe, buy thing we talked about on my main channel. You can, but I mean, just the simple thing, put it up there in bold print for the blind to say to them, hey, if this game, if we ever pull off the servers and we say we're done, the entire game goes with it and you don't have a game. Make it in that language so anybody, you know, and I mean, yes, it is an oversimplification. I am exaggerating, but I mean, how can anybody miss that? You know what I mean? Like, you can miss this. It's an FAQ, but how can you miss that if it's on your menu screen? There needs to be something that requires these companies to do it. I genuinely believe that, because this is getting ridiculous. I don't know. We've talked about it before. I don't like government stepping in and telling people what to do and all that. I am against that. But when it comes to this stuff, like, obviously, we're not doing a good enough job. Obviously, they're too greedy and they don't care, the companies. So we do need a third party to come in and say, okay, this is how it's going to be. And we need somebody to look out for us, because obviously we can't do it ourselves for whatever reason you can argue about. So that's it for now. Like I said, what I wanted to get that out in this video. I want to do a retrospective. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it shutting down, but the retrospective is going to be a retrospective on the game. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.